Welcome to 5 Minutes of Faith. I'm Apostle Trevor Banks, and I'm glad you've joined us. And I trust that the Lord will speak something to your heart, to your spirit today that will encourage you and bless you along your journey. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about something I've been teaching on, and that is creating your world. Creating your world. I like to visit the book of Genesis when we talk about creation and our ability, like God, to create. Let me make a few statements here. First of all, language is initially given to create. Secondarily, is given to us for communication. So we see in the book of Genesis how the first language we see is from God Himself saying, "Light be." And it was used or utilized to create. We see God also walking with Adam in the cool of the day in the evening, and no doubt they were conversing. So there we see language used to communicate. So with that premise, let's take a look at creating your world. I like to make the statement that Alexander the Great conquered the world through force. Jesus, the Son of God, conquered the world through faith or through love. Now we have a contrast in styles there, a contrast in individuals. Though Alexander used force, Jesus established His kingdom and conquered this world through love, through faith. So what I want to establish here is God's method of ruling is different than the common rule or the common rule or view of ruling today. Let me say that again. God's method of ruling and dominating is distinctly different from how ruling and dominating is viewed today. God's view is always, His rule is always a rule of protection and a rule of empowerment. He's an Abba Father. His rule is always governing us to empower us and to protect us. Now, in the book of Matthew, we find that Jesus says that the princes of the Gentiles exercise rulership over them. And He goes on to talk about, and this is in Matthew chapter 20, verse 25, but that it ought not be so among us. But He said, let the greatest among you be as he that serves. So what we want to establish in our mind and in the realm of the spirit is that God's rulership is different than the way that the world rules. Now in the Garden of Eden, it's interesting how God brought the atmosphere of heaven to the earth in the form of the Garden of Eden. Perfect order. Now this was during the time of the restoration of the earth. This was when God was restoring the earth to its pristine glory. But yet, there was darkness. Notice something about God, how when there was darkness, He didn't speak about the darkness or to the darkness. He simply spoke light. One of the things that we must adjust in our thinking process is what I deem to be thinking or speaking about things. Instead of speaking about darkness and how the devil's busy and what's wrong and all of that, don't let that steal the energy of your faith. Use your faith in your words, which are capable of creating. Use your words to speak light. One of the things that I want to touch before we wind up this 5 minutes of faith, God never taught or instructed Adam or Eve when she came along on spiritual warfare. What He did instruct them on was to till the garden, to expand the garden, to work the garden, to replenish. In other words, they were to be so occupied with God, they didn't have time to focus on darkness. There was darkness in the world, not in the garden. The garden was light. The garden was the atmosphere of God. He brought it into the earth, placed the man and the woman there, and told them to till it, expand it, enlarge it, until all of the earth was filled with the glory of God. This was the first mandate. Man was given authority and ability to have dominion. Adam, be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, and have dominion in the earth. That's God's mandate even today. So we're going to explore how we can create our world, extend our Garden of Eden into this world through words and through obedience to God. So we'll explore that. But until next time, remember, you don't need a whole lot of faith. Use the faith you've got. Until next time, God bless you.